Hey guys, this is the Tesla Model 3 hitch kit or tow bar kit. This one's from a company called Stealth. The tow bars actually remove completely, and once they're removed you cannot even tell that the car has a tow bar on it. There's also a company called Eco Hitch that make a cheaper version. It's not quite as convenient to use as this one. You have to attach it with a bolt and remove it with a bolt, which is pretty hard to get up in there from underneath the car. This one works quite well. You simply turn this lever this way and it just pulls out, and you just push it back in like that to connect it up. There's a lock on this side, comes with a key so you can lock it in place. Now, I'm in Australia, so this all had to come out from the US, which is a bit of a pain for us. To further complicate things, this kit comes in two versions. There's the full tow hitch kit, which gives you a tow bar with a ball on it for towing a trailer. You can also buy just the bike rack mount kit, which comes with this guy and a square receiver. You can either get that in 2" or 1¼ I think. This is a 2". Now, the problem is with the full tow hitch kit, it comes with the wrong size ball. It comes with a 2" ball. In Australia we use a 50mm ball, so 2" will not work on trailers out here. It also comes with a wiring harness that is of no use either, because in the US they use a combined brake light and indicator wire. So it's a 6-wire kit and we need a 7-wire kit. So you're sort of paying a bit extra for no use. The full tow bar kit is $837 US, whereas just the bike rack mount kit is $568. So I decided to go that way, to just buy the bike mount kit and buy the tow bar separately. Basically, the way I went about purchasing this, probably not the ideal way to go about it, buying it from two separate suppliers, and I used two different on-shippers. I ended up buying the tow bar, the basic tow bar attachment from Stealth. They wouldn't take foreign credit cards, so what I ended up doing was getting a company called myus.com. They're the on-shippers. They also have a shopping service, so they will actually purchase stuff for you and ship it out directly. Now, this tow bar on its own, without the tow ball, cost $120 basically, and $180 by the time I paid myus.com to buy it and ship it out to Australia. Fairly pricey. I bought a 50mm tow ball here. It's about $32, and I ended up buying the rest of it, the main kit, which is a bike rack mounting kit, from eTrailer.com. I think they're in Montana, and they were pretty good. Their shipping was free to Texas, and that's where Bonvu are located, which is the other on-shipper I used. Bit of a long story on how it ended up using two different shippers, but eTrailer took PayPal, so that was easy to pay for, but they wouldn't ship to Australia, so I had to use an on-shipper for that. The problem with the bike mount kit itself is you don't get these chain brackets. There's these little brackets that come off those bolts and come down to pick up your chains for your trailer. There's one on both sides, but I ended up only putting in one because these bolts here wouldn't have been long enough to put two on anyway. My trailer only has one chain, so I think it's fine. The other option you could do is weld on some little eyes on the tow bar. You wouldn't do it on this, you wouldn't need it on this. This is the bike mount attachment, but on the tow bar itself you could put it on there. It is better, I guess, to have it on here, because if for some reason this does drop out, then your chain is still attached to the car rather than this bit that might drop out. But that's the way they do it on regular tow bars that don't detach. Yeah, I actually made up a little template and made this guy myself, painted it all up and put it on. I actually ended up using some 5mm plate welded onto some 8mm plate, partly because this bolt still would work better with 5mm plate in here rather than 8. Otherwise I'd be sort of running out of thread. Also, I didn't have enough of this 8mm plate to make it in one piece anyway. These tow bars, in my experience, always end up rusting. The paint job they do on them might kind of look okay when you get them, but they're never great. There was already some chipping off. So I really wanted to get this powder coated, but the guys I normally use couldn't have done it until January, and I wanted to fit this week. So I ended up just painting it with a couple of coats of epoxy enamel, and just to give it a bit more protection. I think it's well worth doing it while it's off the car. So for the wiring harness, what I ended up doing was buying this kit from Tow Bars Australia. It's they call it the universal ECU wiring harness. It's basically there's some gubbins in here. I think they're just relays that isolate your trailer outputs from your wiring to your lights on your car, so that computers don't get confused. It also comes with the connector of your choice for your trailer and a mounting bracket. Quite a good set of instructions. Now, what I thought about doing was actually mounting this in this position here, like that. The cutout on your car sits sort of like that, so this would just sit up inside. What I've decided to do instead is I've just glued on a rare earth magnet onto there, and that's quite powerful. And what I'm going to do is just leave this kind of loose, and when not in use you'll just put it up there like that, out of the way. Just makes it a bit easier. I'll probably cut those little flanges off. Unless you're competent with metalwork and are willing to make these brackets up, it's probably not worth the couple of $100 saving to buy it from two separate places and get it shipped over. Just buy the full tow kit. When you get it here, throw away the harness and throw away the tow ball and buy new ones. The other option, however, which now that I've got this, I thought maybe is the way I should have gone, is just to buy the bike rack mount kit. So it comes with this only. This comes with a sticker on it that says not to be used for towing, but this is awfully beefy, and I am positive this would be fine for towing. It's a 2-inch square receiver. It's quite common on tow bars in Australia to just have this on your tow bar, and you can remove the actual tow bar itself, the ball receiver, and store that out of the way. You just put a bolt through here or a pin. You'd have to double check whether you can get a 2-inch bar here or whether they're 50mm. I think you can get 2-inch. That would save quite a bit of money, and you just buy that tow bar attachment locally with a ball on it and buy your harness separately, as I did. That would save a fair bit of money, I think. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's get cracking on with the installation. There's quite a few videos on YouTube showing you how to install this tow hitch kit. So I thought I'd just concentrate on showing the wiring. However, having done this now myself, I realised that the videos aren't that great at showing you all the fasteners and how to put back on all the panels properly. The instructions with the kit are okay, but again, they don't show you how to put things back together and necessarily show you all the fasteners. Also, the sound on all my filming was drowned out by really heavy traffic, so I'm just dubbing this over after the fact. Okay, I've got the harness, the wiring harness, roughly in place right now. I've got the relay box on the inside of the car. I've got the big thick wire going to the trailer socket, and also the orange power wire. They're coming through a hole in the right hand side of the car. There was a grommet in there which I've punched a hole in to suit those cables, and I've just got that roughly in position along the bumper there. So I'll start making some connections now to this socket. This is the trailer socket here. I've glued a rare earth magnet onto the cover so I can stow this out of the way when not in use. Just attach it onto the tow bar. I'm going to cut these flanges off first. And here's what it looks like with those flanges cut off, looking a bit neater. This orange power wire I'm going to connect into this connector which is sitting above the bumper here. That is a connector actually for a factory tow hitch. It's a CAN bus system connector, so we can't use it in this instance, but we certainly can use the red switched power wire going to it. The kit instructions tell you to run a positive lead actually directly to the battery, but that's a long way and completely unnecessary when you've got that wire sitting right there. I'm going to connect the trailer socket up first, do all those connections. Then I'm going to do all the connections to the tail light wires, and I'm going to do the power connection last, just to ensure that we don't screw up anything. I'm using a 7-pin trailer socket commonly used in Western Australia here. You can Google the wiring colours and functionality of each wire and the position. So I'm getting ready to tap in on the other side of the relay box into the wiring at the back of the right hand tail light unit. I've pulled away the wiring harness. It's attached by this little connector. It just pulls out of the hole in the back of the frame there. You can put that back when you're finished. You need to pull that out to get the room. You need to cut those wires and tap in there. I'm just going to drill a hole in this bit of plastic here and zip tie the relay box up and out of the way. There's also this
bolt which I've removed here, which I can use for my earth wire. This is the earth wire, and the lug on it is too small, so I'm just going to chop that off and put a bigger size one on there. I'm also putting some shrink wrap over the main set of cables from the relay box. And now just putting in the bigger lug for the earth wire. Starting to splice into the wiring to the rear right hand side tail light. On this side you've got a red wire, which is the right indicator, yellow wire, which is the tail light, and a grey wire, which is the brake light. There's also a black wire, which I assume is the earth. I'm tapping in by cutting the wire and splicing the two ends together with the end from the wire, the relevant wire from the relay box, and I'm using just a crimp connector, quality insulated connector. Here I'm just extending the yellow wire and the black wire from the relay box. The yellow wire is the left-hand turn signal, and the black wire is the reverse light wire. They need to be extended to go across to the other side, to the left-hand side of the vehicle, and they'll just run along the front there under the trim. I'm just using ordinary crimp connectors to extend these wires, and some shrink wrap over the top to make a good seal. Now bolting down that earth wire and feeding the black and yellow wire across to the left side of the vehicle. Again, just pulling clear that wiring harness to the left side tail light unit, and this time splicing into the purple wire, which is the left hand turn signal. Now the reverse light is located on this side. I was expecting to find 5 wires here, but there were still only 4: the indicator, tail light, stop light, and what I presume is earth. I've read you can pick up the reverse wire under the rear passenger seat. It's a white wire apparently, but I was certain I could pick it up off the tail light somehow. I just need to figure that out. Anyway, I was running out of time and wanted to get the car back together, so I decided to just leave the wire unconnected and go back to that once I've worked out the best way to do it. Here's a close-up of the connections on the right hand side and me drilling and mounting the relay box on the plastic panel. And now making the final connection. This is the positive wire connecting into that connector on top of the bumper. I just used a couple of spade connectors and I finish it off with some shrink wrap over the top. So just a few tips on putting it all back together. Don't lose these little clips off the bumper cover, one on each side. These are the ones that the Torx screws screw into, and they clip in down there, and they do come off and fall on the ground easily when you're removing them. So make sure they're back on before you try and put this in place. The trickiest part of this whole process, in my opinion, is putting back this bumper panel. It comes off connected to the rear part of the under tray. You can't really remove the under tray separately until you get them both off. Consequently, it's a real pain to try and put it back on. It's a very large piece and it sort of flops all over the place. You really need another person to help you at least get started. And before you push the bumper panel completely home, you want to make sure that the under tray is overlapping the next part of the under tray on top. Also, don't forget to reconnect the wiring harness connector to all the sensors on this bumper panel before you put it in place. So firstly, I tested the car without any trailer attached to it and made sure everything was working okay. Then I dragged my trailer over and connected up the wiring connector and tested everything on the trailer, and naturally everything worked perfectly. This panel here runs across the inside of the boot opening at the top. It's held on by two push pins. I found it quite difficult getting this one in place. So all up, this took about 4 to 5 hours, a lot longer than I expected. I think you want to be pretty competent with working with tools and electrical work to take this on. Note that my Model 3 is a 2020 model and that the wiring colours may vary in other countries, particularly the USA.